Yo, just a meathead out here. Straight out of Khyber. Representing the casual obsession out here, you feel me? Listen. So I've been chilling out in Ebby. I just washed up on a ship. On the beach, some fool called Jeets is talking crazy. He's a trip. Thought I'd go hit the inn and grab some ale. Just kick it. Next I know Salimas is yelling, "Smite the wicked!" So this is how it goes round here. They want me fighting with no fear. Handing me a sword. Will I survive? It's not clear. Cause now they got me running down a crypt so hating rests. These traps can slap scary, get back, but hey, where's the crest? I'm grabbing scrolls, doing puzzles, and even killing rats. And spiders from the floor? Yo, can't y'all get some cats? I'm guarding crystals from cultists. You know my weapons, they smoking. This Drexel hand is evoking. Suspicion spells are being spoken. This is my adventure, it's my journey. All my trainers out here got me learning. With some gold I paid a friend called Byron. Monsters come around here, that boy Wylin in Korthos. Yo man, who really runs this place around here anyway? Mayor? What? Coin lords? Huh. I guess if they're paying, I'm playing, you feel me? Shoot.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fixer Upper. Today, I have another guildie on the line with me. Esmean, welcome to the stream. Today, we're going to be covering a build called Bob the Wolf. But before we hop into that, just a couple little housekeeping things. One, if you didn't see it yet this week, and I'm sure most of you have, Standing Stone Games released another Patrons Coffer, and one of the things that you can get is what I feel is the best dance in the entire game, and that is the Dino dance we got going on here. Yeah, so if you haven't seen the dragon, I guess they clarified it's really more of a drake. This is it. Actually, let me get him to stand still here for a sec. So this is what he looks like, as well as I'm wearing the armor. This is on live. This is what it looks like. This is available right now through the 19th. You can pick up the Astral Traveler's Patrons Coffer. You also get, I think it's 50 bank storage spaces with that coffer, which is more than I recall us getting in any of the previous ones. So it's actually really good. So, alright, let me minimize this. I mentioned this during the last stream, and I'm going to call it out a few times every time we do one of these streams here. This year, again, Standing Stone Games is supporting Extra Life, and I have signed up to be a part of that team. I'm looking to raise $1,000 for the Children's Miracle Hospital network of hospitals. It's a really great charity. It's something I really believe in, and obviously, being able to do something that I do anyway, game, and being able to give back a little bit to the community would be great. So here's one of the things I'm going to be doing during this stream. Any stream in which we raise $100 or more towards Extra Life, I will do a free giveaway for a creature companion of your choice. That is, any creature companion in the store, regardless of what server you're on, I will come to your server. I'll make sure that you get it. Any stream in which we raise $100 or more for this wonderful charity. I'm going to put the link to my page in the chat now as well. So while I'm doing that, let me pull up Bob the Wolf. And Bob the Wolf is kind of it's an interesting build for a few reasons, but I think the first thing I would note is I don't really know whose build exactly it is. It's one of those builds that I feel like an 11.8.1 build has been tossed around a lot of different ways. I've seen probably about 20 to 30 different variations on this build. This particular one, the one that's called Bob the Wolf, comes from one of our guildies, Roublonne from the Khyber server as well. But what stands out to you just broadly about the build as? Yeah, and we'll get into some of the specifics about the build and what's included here in just a moment. Um, a few things about the build. It is going to rely on natural fighting. Natural fighting is a specific fighting style that druids do have access to. It gives them certain bonuses, whether they're fighting as a bear or a wolf, depending on which form they choose to transform into. So, being that this is called Bob the Wolf, you would think you'd spend all of your time in wolf shape. Is that actually true, though? Yeah, so I think for tonight, because we've done a lot of build reviews, um, and in full disclosure, neither Ez nor myself came up with this build. So I'm gonna walk through an overview of the build really quickly, and as we go through, what I really want to call out this week are some of the play style choices. So if I'm highlighting an ability or something that you think is important to call out, it was a main part of your rotation as, feel free to just jump in and let us know how you were using it. So Bob the Wolf is a half work build. This particular build in the builder doesn't have any of the heroic past life feats selected, but all of the racial. So it is fairly dependent on those racial tree points. You'll have to make some significant adjustments to the build if you don't have all of your racial lives done. You also see it has all of the epic pass lives done. There's going to be a few specific ones that I'm going to call out there as well. Um, so it's a half work. It's strength focused. You have con as the secondary stat. By the way, our Huskies are in rare form this week, so you'll definitely hear Huskies throughout the stream tonight. The Huskies love to be involved, and tonight they're very conversational. Um, you'll see as a third stat we also took wisdom as well, and we'll get to why that was important here. Okay, I'm getting a note that just keep talking for a second. I just want to make sure your mic's coming through. Okay.
How about now?
All right. I think now you're on for sure.
Alrighty.
Cool. All right. It's no longer a one-way conversation, I believe, right? Am I getting a thumbs up here?
All right, hopefully.
All right, cool. Luckily, my controller's sitting right behind me, so she can slip me notes if something's wrong with the stream. So all of our level ups for the most part went into strength. We got one in wisdom here. Um, we're taking power attack. There's been a lot of commentary on the forums of power attack versus precision. And precision used to be a lot more important when we had less fort bypass in the game, and also when we had less mechanics to reduce fortification. If you're getting your fort bypass to 70 plus, or if you have um, somebody with, say, falconry in the party, those falconry attacks should be reducing the fortification by 50%. You're not going to need that same high level of fort bypass. So power attack, for the most part, for a lot of high damage DPS builds, is going to be the way to go. Um, you're seeing the toughness. Toughness, we do take epic toughness and then legendary toughness as well. This is again just to boost the overall hit points of the build. You're going to see here that you're at 4,400. Let me see if Reaper is selected. It is. So what'll happen here, because you have the barbarian levels, you're going to get access to the rage feat. So if you don't know about this, you should be doing a blood feast swap. And let me actually just pull up the wiki and show you that.
Yeah, that the rage swap was definitely a real blessing because I did feel a little squishy if I was not using my swaps and my blood tributes to add the additional HP on top of it because when you take a hit, it hurts a little bit.
So with a 5-piece blood feast, you're going to get 100 temporary hit points per epic level whenever you hit your rage. So that translates to 1,000 temp hit points, which obviously if you hit that before heading into a big fight, um, you're increasing your hit points by 25% just with this alone. You're also going to get a couple other clickies that you can use to enhance your hit points along the way. What I normally recommend is, because the Blood Feast as a set doesn't fit into most melee filigree setups for endgame, so I do recommend having a second weapon that you can have 5 pieces on, that has the Blood Feast. You just swap into it, hit your rage, and then swap back.
Yeah, absolutely. I never actually used my blood feast swap as a melee weapon. Well, never intentionally.
So when you look at, oh, this is not the right page. Here we go. Is this the right page? Yeah, so to get your 5th slot, that is 20,000 Sentient XP. Um, I will tell you that if you have the Saltmarsh pack, within about an hour or so of farming Saltmarsh, if you have a kind group who are willing to pass you items, you should be able to hit that. So it's not unreachable to have a second gem. Uh, you also get one free sentient gem every time you TR, as long as you run through Ravenloft. So just hit that caravan guy right after Into the Mists, and he'll give you another sent gem.
I was watching Voodoo this morning, and they were mentioning this earlier. You can get one from White Plume Mountain too.
Yeah, there's a few that actually drop from White Plume Mountain. There's one for each of the weapons.
I guess I don't run that very often, but I did not know that.
It's also where one of the sparks drops, and it also can drop the 1,000 sentient XP gems. So yeah, White Plume Mountain's not a bad place to run either. So going a little deeper into the build here, as I said, we're taking that natural fighting line. You're going to make sure to grab that all the way up to perfect. What this does is, if you are in bear form, you can add 25% more of your ability score to your damage, and your bear form's AC is increased by 5%. Or if you're in wolf form, you get another 20% competency bonus to your hit points, and um, 2d6 sneak attack dice as well. So pretty nice. And right now you can see we have Winter Wolf form toggled on. As you're taking your wild shapes, you do only take the base form of bear, and instead of upgrading your bear form, you are going to want to upgrade into your Winter Wolf form. That is so you get the 20% bonus to your melee attack speed, and again, some extra sneak attack dice. So other than that, looks like we're taking dodge, mobility, spring attack. We've talked about the benefits of spring attack before. Spring attack really helping you get out of sticky situations, increases maneuverability. You're going to take improved crit slash. When we look at the equipment, ultimately you're going to use a falchion, and um, so that is a slashing weapon. We're going to improve the crit profile here again with overwhelming critical, getting that +1 multiplier, and the rest are fairly standard for melee feats. You're obviously going to want to get your double strike to 100 or as close to 100% as you can. You're also going to want Harbinger of Chaos. Um, this is going to add +2 imbue dice because you're chaotic. It's also going to come into play when we look at the destinies as well, and we'll look at those in just a second. And for our Scion, we did take Ethereal, again, to increase those sneak attack dice. So let's look at the offensive breakdown on that. You can actually see here we're getting 23 sneak attack dice. And those 23 sneak attack dice are getting a nice damage boost to them. Coupled with the high level of attack speed, rate of attack, it's a lot of damage. It stacks up really fast. So looking here at the double strike, for this particular build, they have it in the builder at 93. Were you under 100 when you were running this on live as well as? I know you didn't have all the past lives.
Yeah, I was definitely under 100. I think I want to say honestly, I ended up in high 70s, low 80s. But even then, the damage output was significant. Big hits were 100k, 200k, and you got them quite frequently.
And again, we're going to take a look at the enhancements, the destinies, but if you don't have all the past lives, you'll make small adjustments to the build. Do you remember, did you take less in the racial tree, or did you skip something in another enhancement tree?
I ended up taking a lot less in the racial tree.
Okay, so for the crit profile here, it's a 15 to 20 4-6 profile. And so anything between a 15 or an 18 is that crits is going to do 4 times the damage. Anything on a 19 or 20 is going to do 6 times the damage, which is nice. Alright, let's dive into the enhancements here. So I'm actually going to start with the small spends. So this setup that you see here in Vistani is the efficiency spend in order to get to the haste boost. So haste boost really requires only 8 points to be spent in a tree. The reason they went the extra couple points to get to 11 is they wanted to pick up this 5% double strike. So for 11 points, you're gaining everything in the first 3 cores. Okay, so you're getting deflect arrows, 5% double strike. You're getting undead as a favorite enemy. You're getting some PRR and MRR. You're getting a little bit of jump, balance, tumble. But the big thing here is that you're getting this Vistani haste boost. In Nature's Protector, big thing you're going to get here is you're going to get this Nature's Protector Rage of the Beast. And this is just going to give you extra melee power with your rages. All right. So, as talk to me a little bit about Nature's Warrior. What are we looking at here? What are the really important things?
A big one is tier 2 flight, very important. That'll be your dodge clicky, one of two, and that's a emergency situation button. You accidentally step into the room first and you shouldn't have been there, or you're getting swarmed with mobs and you need to pick up everyone's soul stone and run. Flight was very important there. Um, the double strike action boost, Nature's Warrior there, tier 2 on the right hand side, plus 30% double strike for 20 seconds. So, you get your big hits out, you use that clicky.
Now you
Uh,
can only have one action boost, so if you're choosing between this and the haste boost, you're gonna choose the haste boost, right?
yeah, you use the haste boost because you're gonna want that attack speed.
All right, and then you're also it looks like you're getting some helpless damage, 15% here. Total helpless damage we get to is 80. Um, you're also gaining some additional melee power. So you'll actually end up getting 12 melee power from this when you're raging, and you can ignore knockdowns.
Yeah, and oddly enough, four legs good. Getting knocked down is one of the worst things in the game because you just get to sit there and do nothing. So I choose to take that to make sure I stand up and do damage more.
So it looks like a lot of the points are spent here in the Frenzied Berserker tree. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Frenzy Berserker, this is where you're gonna get a lot of your big damage hits and a little bit of temp HP. So we'll start with cracking attack. Uh, Obviously, you take that all the way to 3. The extra damage, reducing enemy fort, and reducing enemies AC. That's a big debuff. Plus, it does big damage for you. So not only are you putting out damage, you're helping your team put out damage.
Yeah,
And
and
then
I would just point out too, you saw here we didn't take precision, even though our fort bypass is only 46. You have this, which is going to reduce it another 20%. So effectively, you're bypassing 66% of their fortification.
yeah, take a couple extra rages because you'll definitely be using them all the time, especially if you're trying to go into a new room with your rage swap. You gotta dismiss your rage and then swap your weapon, re-rage. On the topic of temporary HP, blood tribute is it's very nice for the temp HP, but you have to be careful if you're in a quest too long and you stack up too many of those blood tributes. That will kill you because you take too much constitution damage.
So with this blood tribute, the thing I think a lot of people miss is it adds another 25 temp hit points for each epic level. So overall, between blood tribute and your blood feast swap, before every fight you can gain an additional 1400 hit points. That's almost a 33% increase to your HP.
Yeah, that's the difference of walking into a fight at what's the HP 4400 and walking in at 6000.
Yeah, I'd say you'd probably prefer to walk into a fight at 6000.
Yeah, you feel a little bit safer with all the extra HP before your healer starts getting into the rotation of you know healing everybody.
So with this focused wrath, you're getting another +2 to your crit multiplier, and then here you're getting raging blows, which is giving you some melee power, some weapon dice, and that 25% competency bonus to your hit points.
Yeah,
So the half work tree kind of writes itself. You're grabbing all the damage. You're enhancing your power attack feat, getting an additional 3 points of damage, and this half work raging crush. If you have the ratios, you're able to get it. It's quite nice. It's an automatic crit. It does 40% extra damage. It has a long cooldown on it, but if you're looking to spike damage really quickly to knock something out, whether it's a Doom Reaper or a champ mob, it's really great situationally like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not have the racial past lives to really go too far into half orc. I think I ended up only getting to the second tier there of weapon training and a little bit of strength.
So let's jump into the destinies. So obviously you're taking Fury of the Wild. You're going to boost these adren attacks. You're going to get the big adrens. It looks like part of this, I don't know why, every once in a while the builder gets a little buggy with this. And I don't think it's actually giving me the effects here. So let me just respend. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Is it saying I don't have enough points still? There we go. There we go. And yeah, so that got our double strike pretty much to 100. I figured something was awry here when I was looking at it. I don't think we'd have left that off.
Yeah,
Um,
this is an old file. I haven't played it for probably about 4 or 5 months now.
so we'll get this updated before we ship it to the forums. Probably end up putting this up on the forums tomorrow then. But yeah, taking all the baseline things here. So here's where you see Harbinger of Chaos paying off. You're getting an extra 100 hit points and 20 PRR because you have that feat instead of 50 and 10. You have Unbridled Fury, which gives you another 1,000 unconsciousness range, 100% strike through, and every 5 seconds you heal for 10% of your max hit points. And while this is active, you gain the adrenaline and quick cutter effects. So your adrens fully boosted here are dealing what is that 225% damage on top of your normal crits. So when you're hitting those adrens, they're hitting pretty hard, right?
Yeah, like I said, depending on how far you can go, you could be hitting anywhere between 100,000 damage to 200,000 plus on an adren.
And I think the other thing that people miss about adrenaline is that as you increase this ability, it actually will knock down your foes. So if there's a champ or a caster or something that you just want to mobilize, take out of the fight, Adren is a really effective way to just negate them entirely.
Yeah, and an important thing to note, it's your next melee attack. So this is actually a buff that you're going to use for another attack. You wouldn't want to use adrenaline and then just do a normal hit. You want to stack the adrenaline on top of something else that's going to do, a big damage. If you have the raging crusher or your cracking attack, you want to stack those together.
Yeah, and I normally, when I was playing this build, I think I normally did the cracking attack first, right? And God,
Yeah, your big attack is you want to set up your bar in a way that all of your stacking abilities kind of come one after another. You have a couple different stacks in there before you get your real big hit.
okay, looking at Dreadnought, this is the Destiny we're actually going to be in. Stacking up those terror stacks, you're gaining a lot of action boost. You're boosting your ability scores while you have an action boost running. Picking up some imbue dice, ghost touch on your weapon, fleshing out your double strike, and then again some more helpless damage. Um, The big thing here too is this power and precision. So you're boosting your damage bonus, and whenever you crit on something, you're getting a nice bonus to that damage prior to the multipliers being stacked. So that's nice.
Yeah, and that's kind of another reason to go for power attack over precision. I would rather the crit hit damage over the critical confirmation.
All right, now looking at Shadow Dancer, we do gain a D door out of here, getting some melee power out of the cores. You are picking up evasion. You're going to be wearing a medium armor for this build, and you're also picking up some double strike and a lot of sneak attack dice. Um, those are the main things that you're going to grab here. For this particular version of the build, this builder had all the Reaper points, so again, the primary way you're going to adjust this, if you do not have all the Reaper points, is you're going to spend less in a Thaumaturge tree. Um, the other thing you can do is if there's any Reaper ability strike that you're not going to use, instead of putting 3 points in it, only put one. You only have to put 1 point in it to gain an additional Reaper charge, which is quite nice.
Yeah, when I ran this, I think I had 30 Reaper points. It's not super dependent on it, but the more the merrier. The points do stack up and create a pretty nice boost when you're in Reaper.
So we're actually moving at lightning speed still, especially for this show. We normally don't go this fast at all, but we we're gonna refresh the gear set before we release it. But I want to call out a couple items in the gear set that I feel are really really important. One is this aspect of the wild hunt. So this is when in any wild shape, your weapons gain piercing damage bypass and one weapon dice. Um, this is one of the few items in the game that is going to give you a bonus based on being in a wild shape form. One of the other ones that you're going to pick up is. Give me 1 second. Is this the right gear set? I don't think this is the right gear set, actually.
Are you looking for the one with the tooth?
Yeah. Okay. So the Epic Fang necklace. Here we go. Um, it just looked weird on here. While in any wild shape, you receive a primal bonus to damage equal to half the number of wilderness lore feats that you have. So that one's nice. If we go to the wiki and look at wilderness lore, you'll see that barbarians as well as druids both receive um, this feed at every level. So because it's an 11.8.1 build, you're actually going to receive 19 wilderness lore feats with this particular build. So you're going to get almost the full bonus with this. So that's plus 9 flat damage that stacks with all the other damage. So at this point, you're probably wondering, hey, what the what? Why did you take one level of Favored Soul? That answer is actually in the enhancements. I think I skipped over it. But you're going to do a low level investment in War Soul in order to get Divine Will. You're going to make this your battle trance. So it's really low hanging fruit. If you wanted to get the entire thing, you could pick it up for 4 points spent in this tree instead of three. The only thing that really changes is how long it lasts. I actually found I think 60 seconds was long enough to last you through most of the fights, though. I don't know how you felt about that as.
Yeah, and it outpaces its cooldown no matter how many points you do. Obviously, you're not going to have a whole lot of spell points on this build, being that you're mostly barbarian, I believe. But it's definitely useful to have. 60 seconds is more than enough time. You're really not going to spend 21 spell points. You're not going to you're not going to go through all of your spell points before you hit a shrine.
So, real quick note, because we talked about this a couple weeks ago too. We talked about the trances and how you calculate those. We didn't do the math quite right when I had Togwick on. So the way the math would work here, and we'll just use the wisdom score you have here. It's 35 minus 10 would be 25. 25 divided by 2 rounded down would be 12. So 12 would be the stat modifier. So this adds half of that. So this would be a +6 bonus to damage. Obviously, that's not very good. So what you would do in this instance is you would have a wisdom swap item. So you're going to have um, a +14 wisdom item that you can put a diamond of insightful 5 on, and then probably a festive gem as well. So right there, you're going to gain an additional 21 wisdom. So that would put you in this scenario at a 56 wisdom. 56 minus 10 is 46. That puts you at a 23. Half of 23 rounded down is an 11 point bonus to your damage. So your order would be do your item swaps, hit your trance, hit your blood feast, swap back as you're running in, hit your blood tribute, and go to town.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I dropped Warsoul to get the additional points in the racial tree.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage to leave on the table because it's adding to all your flat damage. So you'll get bigger crits if you have that trance swap. Um,
Yeah, but I'm lazy and I don't like swaps. And this is a build where swaps are pretty important. I think really I only had the rage swap and my spell absorbs.
so one thing that you could do on this build, now that we have Dragonlord, is instead of going to that 5th tier in the Barb tree, you could go in the 5th tier of the Dragonlord tree. You could pick up your Trance there, which would give you another level of Barb or Druid. Or sorry, no, of Druid, because you'd be dropping Barb in that scenario. But then you'd be losing the Raging. So I don't know. Maybe some builder out there wants to come up with an updated version of this build that takes advantage of Dragonlord. Or maybe that's a bad idea, and they could hop on and tell us why that's a bad idea.
I got some time on my hands right now. I'm kind of thinking about doing it myself.
It
I am running a Dragon Lord right now. I'm liking it, and the extra feats. I wonder where I would go with that.
the only problem is some of this specialized gear that gives you the bonuses based on your wilderness lore feats would not be as effective.
Yeah, you would definitely have to change out gear. A blood feast wouldn't be relevant anymore. It would definitely be a different feel to the build.
Yeah, so Hide of the Fallen is the other item I was thinking of that has the primal bonus to damage equal to half the number of wilderness lore feats. So if you start dropping down, I mean, I guess you're only losing 4 flat, but do you gain enough out of Dragonlord to make up for that in terms of tactics DCs? You pick up the roar, you'd have a strength trance, so the answer is probably you'd pick up enough to make up for it just in the fact that you'd be benefiting from the strength trance, you'd have less swap items. So the main thing I wanted to get to though tonight is because you actually played this build. What were some of the difficulties that you entered in on this build?
Um, a big thing was getting the melee threat degen because uh, it, when you got hit, it hurt. It did hurt a lot. You get hit by a big hit, or spells too. Spells were a big problem. So having the spell absorb swaps were super important. I did find myself getting knocked down more often than I wanted. I think I was missing something there.
So you actually ran this in our R10 Baba raid, right?
I did.
What was your experience like stepping into not only because you ran a lot of R10 Quest as well, but what was it like doing R10 Quest on this build? How did it feel playing it, especially without all the past lives?
The R10 quests weren't so bad. We typically run together as a guild, so we have a lot of our uh, preferred professions, if you will. So it really let me focus on just the DPS of the build. But moving from an R10 quest to an R10 raid was a whole different level. In Baba, it was nice to have the flights and the spring attack, especially when you get hut hate. If you don't have a hood of unrest, the hut hate can really be a problem. But with the wolf, you actually have enough speed that you can kite the hut around the outside of that map.
So
And
where's your speed boost coming from? Because you actually have a few things going for you in this build, right?
yeah, you want obviously you want the spring attack. That's gonna be what's the cooldown on a spring attack? I can't
I want
remember.
to say it's something like well actually I can look it up on the wiki. Let me grab that.
Because spring attack it leaps you forward, as a
20
lot of people
seconds.
know.
20 seconds.
So every 20 seconds, you're getting to jump forward quite a bit of distance. On top of that, you gain a dodge bonus when you use spring attack. It's not much; it's 2%, but every bit of dodge stacks up. Um, I'm not entirely sure where I got a haste boost. Oh,
Yep.
frenzied berserker gets you a sprint boost.
Yep, so you're getting a sprint boost to your speed. You have the spring attack, and then you also just get the natural movement speed. So you get 10 plus your druid level as a percentage to your movement speed. In this case, because you have 11 druid levels, sorry, you have 8 druid levels, so you'd have an 18% bonus to your movement speed when you're in that winter wolf form.
Yeah, and if you feel like you aren't moving fast enough, I mean, you're more than welcome to put multiple points into it, but I felt like that 35% from the sprint boost was more than enough.
And I feel like we go through some of these things really fast sometimes. Um, I want to call out a few of the items that you mentioned because I know they're quite useful. One of those was the Hood of Unrest.
Yep. That allows you to it's a clicky that allows you to cast invisibility
Uh,
or
dodge
a
bonus.
dodge. My bad.
Yep. So this lasts for 25 seconds. It's usable on you or by you can use it on yourself or you can use it on anyone else in the party. They get a 50% festive bonus to their dodge that ignores the dodge cap. So if you're on the wolf build and we are looking at some of your defensive breakdowns, you have a 15% dodge normally, but that Hood of Unrest would take you to a 65%. And then on top of that, you also have a flight button, and the flight button is going to give you another 20% as well, which is uncapped dodge. So you have significant bonuses that you can give yourself to your dodge score temporarily. When would you use those?
A few situations, R10 questing, I would use him, run forward into a room and use my dodges while I have the aggro. Everyone can run in and kind of do as much DPS as possible. Or in an emergency situation where the tank goes down and I somehow take the aggro, I can use that immediately so I don't take all the damage right away and go down.
Yeah, so Hood of Unrest is something that's really good for everyone in the party to have. So I know it's not Halloween time yet. We're only here in the month of May, so we're still 5 months away from that. But when Night Revels does come around again, I highly recommend everybody pick up a Hood of Unrest. Have one on every character if you can. These are bound to account, so you can only carry one of them at a time on your character. But it's a really great way that you can help augment any party, and it's low hanging fruit. It's a really easy item to get. He also, as you also mentioned, having a lot of spell absorb. I think there's some spell absorb items that are easy swaps and that are easy to get. One of those is the Jeweled Cloak.
Yeah, the Jeweled Cloak is a nice one. I believe it's 2025 spell absorb.
So there's 6 different versions of this because this is back when the Giant Hold pass had originally happened to Epicfy Giant Hold, and so as long as you run Maze of Madness or Trial by Fire on the Elite setting, the Epic Elite setting, you would get the level 25 version, which gives you 25 charges of Spell Absorb. Cloaks are normally a really good item swap. You saw here on our gear setup that your cloak would be the Cloak of the Hunter, so you'd lose a little bit of damage out of it, but it's not part of one of your set bonuses. Um, so it's an easy thing to swap temporarily to get that spell absorb benefit. Another thing to point out is let me talk about the Pale Lav Ironstone. So the Pale Lav, this actually drops from the Dreaming Dark chain from the very, very end. You can also randomly find them in any chest throughout the game. Um, it does have to be upgraded. If you upgrade it in the, um, I believe it's the Altar of Nightmares, um, then it will actually have 50 charges of spell absorption. But one thing I'd point out about this trinket, oh, and by the way, please do not use this trinket unless you have upgraded it. When it has its original 20 charges, if you use all 20 of them, the item disappears. It goes away. But once you upgrade it, you can see now it has a recharge on it, and it'll recharge 15 per day. Then you can use it as much as you want. Some spells, though, deplete this based off of not how many spells are cast at you, but the level of the spell. So certain items, if a level 4 spell is the example they're giving here on the wiki, is cast on you when you're wearing the Pale Lavender Ion Stone, you would lose 4 of its charges.
Oof.
Whereas the cloaks are just 1 charge per spell, which makes them a little bit superior. And I say cloaks because while they're exclusive, you can only have one jeweled cloak. There's another cloak in House Fjarlin that is called the Mirror Cloak, which is quite nice.
Yeah, you'll need that in the epic and legendary versions of them.
This drops out of Party Crashers. Party Crashers, you can run this on Heroic at level 5, and this item will drop from the end chest. I mean, when we run it with a full group, we normally get like 6 of them per run. You upgrade them at the altars in the 12, and you can actually have one epic and one legendary version of this cloak. The epic version is going to come with 5 charges of spell absorb, and then if you upgrade a second one to the legendary version is going to have 20 charges. So um, between the 2 mirror cloaks and the jeweled cloak, you're going to have 50 charges of Spell Absorb. And then if you have an upgraded Pale Lav Ion Stone, again, you're going to have 50 charges. Just remember those 50 charges work a little different. So it's not 50 spells there, but 50 charges. There are other Spell Absorb items in the game as well. So you can see a lot of them right here on the Spell Absorb page on the wiki. The Crystalline Gauntlets, Mantle of the World Shaper. You can get these Scarabs of Spell Absorption. These drop anywhere. They're random, but they are one-time use. They go in your trinket slot. Well, when I say one-time use, they have 50 charges. Once all 50 charges are done, they're done. Um, you can also get the Mage Star and the two-headed Platinum Piece. Two-headed Platinum Piece comes out of Saltmarsh. This drops fairly well, fairly easily, in my opinion, if you just run a couple routes of the Explorer. You should actually be able to get this.
The only real drawback for the two-headed platinum is that it's also an artifact.
Yeah, so if your artifact doesn't happen to be in your trinket slot, you're actually going to do 2 item swaps in order to put this one on. Um, I don't make as good of use of the two-headed platinum piece as I should because of that, but it is 50 charges, which is nice. So there's spell absorbs, there's your Hood of Unrest for your dodge. What's another item that you think is kind of must-have if you're going to be running in-game content as?
With this gear set, a big one for me was probably my Gem of Many Facets, because I did get the God roll on it, and I got the Windlasher's Ferocity and the Raven's Eye.
Yeah, so this is going to give you 2 set bonuses. This is going to give you the Windlasher set, which is artifact bonus to double strike and melee power, and then the Raven's Eye, which is going to give you sneak attack and damage, crit confirmation and damage, and then just 3 flat attack and damage. So pretty big boost there if you can get the perfect roll on that. Um,
Yeah, that is unfortunately not as easy to do as it happened for me.
with I man, now I have to ask, how many rolls did it take you to get it?
Very few. I got it within 5.
Wow. Wow, that's lucky. That's actually very lucky. All right, I don't like you anymore. You have to go away.
Sorry about that.
No, that's good. That's good for you.
I've
Um,
I've been very well blessed with my gem rolls. I've got a couple real good sets going. Can't wait to do a cleric.
I like the sound of that. Clerics are awesome, and
I
everybody
thought
should
you
play
would.
them. Uh, Looking here, you're also taking advantage of the red dragon scale armor. Has the dripping with magma effect because you're getting so many attacks. You're dealing a lot of extra damage. Uh, this gear set, I'd be interested to see it updated again, probably with the new Vecna sets, the Vecna chain, just to see what comes out of that. Um, you haven't played this in a while, and I haven't looked at it since the new Vecna stuff has come out, so might be worth doing an update on the gear set as well.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need to look back into this before posting it, because it's a very good set, but an unfortunate drawback is it does require a lot of Isle of Dread materials. I got a lot of help from the guild on mats. I definitely did not have enough myself to do all of these upgrades.
So another item I recommend everybody gets for your character, especially if you want to get into R10 questing and raiding, is the Cursed Blade of Jack Gibbers. What this allows you to do is it allows you to res yourself once per rest, and has a pretty long cooldown on it. It's 20 minutes, but if there is a party wipe and you are able to run away from where you dropped, get around the corner, you can use this item to res and be able to res the party. By the way, UMD is easy for everybody to get now. Um, per
Don't make the mistake I did.
per epic level, you are able to get +1 to every skill. So there's a +10 to UMD. There are scrolls of raised dead. Action. So let me just pull this up. All right. So the UMD value of a scroll of raised dead is going to be 36, which means you only need 26 UMD to be able to res your party members. Um, if you have a +8 tome and you're starting at 8 charisma, that gets you to 16. 16 charisma gives you a modifier of 3. So there's another 3. That's without any other items, any other investment. You haven't spent a single point in UMD. There are tomes available as well. But my point is, I don't think there's a reason that anyone in the party shouldn't be able to scroll at least Raise Dead, if not Resurrection as well. What was the mistake you made on that, Ez?
I put 0 points into UMD, and I don't believe I have a skill tome for it, so I could not use any scrolls.
Let me see. They didn't flesh it out here,
Yeah,
but
the skills were not done.
let's just put the bare minimum number of points in UMD. That gets us to a 9. And then let's look at
And
our
you know what? If you
skills.
swap that around, wouldn't you get more UMD out of favored soul?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I put the bare minimum effort. Just spent 1 point per
Yeah,
level. I'm at a
yeah, it's at 42.
42 UMD, and
Oops.
again, I'm looking at Scrolls of Resurrection are a UMD 44. So you're not 100%. You're like a 90% chance to resurrect somebody. 100% chance on Raise Dead. And again, this is with the bare minimum effort. So, no excuses. Everybody should have Raise Dead scrolls. Um, what else should we talk about with the Wolf build as?
We could dive into the filigrees that we have chosen here.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look at the filigrees. Tonight's stream is going to be a little shorter. I actually have another engagement this evening that I'm heading out to. But we did do a 4-piece Dreadbringer. Every melee set, especially the strength based, is going to start with this Sucker Punch one against many. I've talked about it before. Not only is it strength, but the rare version is +4 melee power, and you're getting the 2-piece Sucker Punch and the 2-piece one against many for just 2 filigrees. So you're actually getting a total of 18 melee power with 2 filigrees. It's the best you're going to do. Um, you're getting additional um, 25 melee power out of this 4-piece Dreadbringer set. You're also getting the Long Shadow melee power set for an additional 20 melee power there. And then you have a 3-piece Treachery, one of them for threat reduction, 2 of them for melee power. So you're actually getting 15 melee power, 1 sneak attack dice, and minus 50% to your threat gen from a 3-piece set. The last filigree then is the Sucker Punch. It's another 5 melee power, and because it is the 3rd piece of that Sucker Punch set, you're picking up another sneak attack die as well. So this is sort of the de facto melee filigree setup that I would recommend for most melee players. Especially if you're strength based, it's quite nice. But even if you're not strength based, 18 melee power for 2 filigrees is kind of a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, even with my Drow Dragon Lord that I'm running right now, that'll be the weapon I use at endgame.
Cool. So I'm gonna reach out to the author, or I should say one of the authors, and of this build. I pointed that out. This is Roublonne's version from the Khyber server. Um, but this is one of those builds I feel like was tossed around by a lot of people. It was sort of stream of consciousness how it came together for a lot of folks, and a lot of people were thinking of similar ways to put similar builds together. So really, really appreciate you hopping on to talk about it. As anything else important about the playstyle of this build you think people should know before we take it to the forums?
Yeah, let your tank go in first.
Always let the tank go in first. You are not the tank. Um, on a scale 1 to 10, how hard playstyle wise would you say it is to play this build?
I mean, I guess it really depends on how you look at it. Personally, I'd probably put this in difficulty maybe a 3 or 4. Like I said, I didn't do the wisdom swap. You know, a couple of the clicky swaps I didn't have on there that I could have been doing to put out even more damage. Um, but in terms of how many things you got to click, how many buttons you got to press, it's not a lot. Um, it could definitely be worse. Um, you just got to kind of watch what you're doing, put everything on the bar in an order, and always hit it in that same order.
Great. Well, I'm going to be doing some live play on my other stream. Um, this is a build that VMO and I covered, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago now. We had covered a Dragon Lord build that takes advantage of Shatterkai. I'm actually on that build now. So if you want to watch me play that this weekend or over the course of this week leading into our raid nights for our guild, I'm going to give a shout out to my regular Twitch channel here. It's just twitch.tv/the DDO experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to rush my way to cap before this weekend.
So go ahead and give a like and follow there. Once again, looking to call out the charity this year that I am deciding to sponsor is the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. Um, Looking to raise money for the kids here with Standing Stone Games and Extra Life. If you join this stream late, any stream either during or after the stream in which we raise $100 or more for the charity, I will give away a creature companion to a random follower. Or you don't have to follow it, even if you're just a viewer. Anybody who's in the chat can participate. We'll do a creature companion giveaway. Your server doesn't matter. Would love to do that. Looking to raise money for the kids this year. As Thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna tag you when I post this build on the forums, even though it's not your build, I know. But you've played it, you're familiar with it. So if folks have questions, do you mind being the one to answer some questions on the build?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out. I'm on a few of the discords: Jungles of Khyber, Den of Dyson Draugr, Homeboys of Stormreach. Feel free to reach out. In game, it's Esmean, Esmeann. There's two N's in game.
Two N's in game, but the username is one N, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just in case you're looking for them on the forums. Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me tonight. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I know this show's a little shorter than normal. This was a pre-cooked build, and we'll be looking to update this. Look for this on the forums. Not tonight. This will probably go up at some point tomorrow. Um, and yeah, look forward to any questions you have. Also, if you have a build that you want to see covered on an upcoming show or an idea for a build, there is a forum post. Let me pull that up really quick too.
Now I know you played this
Here we go.
build too. What did you think of it?
I love the Wolf build. So you can see here over the last couple weeks we've gotten a few more requests for builds, but this is the thread. If you have a request for a build, feel free to post it here. I thought the wolf build was great. I mean, between the temporary hit points, between the amount of damage that you're putting at, the dodge clickies that you have, the general defenses, the quick movement and the spring attacks, as long as you're comfortable um, strafing, using mouse look fighting a little bit, you can physically dodge a lot of the attacks. Being able to switch between bear form and the bear form attacks and the wolf form and the wolf form attacks, if you can do that smoothly with your hotbar setup, you'll be really effective. It took a little bit of time to get a good feel for when you wanted to be in each form, but once you're well practiced and you have the build down, you can actually do quite well in it. I actually competed in a two-man R10 challenge of the Age of Rage chain. It's one of the challenges that the Lava Divers Guild had hosted, and I was actually in this build, and I was playing alongside of an alchemist, and we did quite well. I mean, we had some pretty solid times without any deaths on that challenge with just those two builds. So yeah, I'd highly recommend Wolf build if you're looking for a melee build for endgame and you're not sure what to play, or I think as well, if you've never played a endgame DPS build, and so you are wondering, hey, what's a good gauge for if your current build is doing decent melee DPS or not? I think the Wolf build is a good bar for that. So if your build is doing a lot less damage than it, then it it's not very good for endgame DPS. If it's doing more damage than the wolf build, you're in solid territory there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too discouraged if you feel like your hits aren't as hard as they are while you're leveling. This is really it's an end game build. It's nice to level with, but you're not going to see all your big damage until late epics, I'd say.
The build really comes together towards the end. And I think that's especially true if you don't have all the racial pass lives, so you're not able to spend as heavily into half work. I think the half work point spend helps a lot as you're leveling up.
Yeah, I do wish I had more racial AP when I went into it, but all in all, the build came together really nice with very few past lives.
Okay, great. Well, Ez, thank you again so much for joining me tonight. I know it's a little bit of a shorter stream, but I have another place to be, so thank you again for joining. This has been Fixer Upper, and if you have an idea for a build, get it posted, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, take care, guys.